pausing. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. Hi, Emily. So welcome to Open to Connect. And this is like, I never could know what to call it, a podcast or a vodcast or whatever, but it is an opportunity for us to spend time together and just learn a little bit about layoffs and the job search and all those things. So I want to introduce you. This is Emily Muckin, and we met, gosh, years ago at this point. It feels like it was kind of just yesterday and forever all at the same time. And at the time, you were working for a company that was my target company. So I was like, here's an active recruiter. This is amazing. And since then, we both moved into different areas of our life and experienced layoffs. So
sometimes by choice, sometimes not. Yes.
Sometimes by choice and sometimes by not. But we are where we are today. And that's kind of what we wanted to kind of get into and just really have some in conversation and keep it candid. I'm always a very candid person. So today, first of all, thank you for being here. I really appreciate all you do for candidates and in the recruiting world. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. I really struggle with this. Consistent feedback for me in corporate is like the first performance review I had at Amazon was like, great at your job, 11 out of 10, very verbose. So I struggle with being concise. Just know you can still get hired even if you're chatty and struggle with communication, because that's me. So I'm based here in the Seattle area. I've been in the tech hiring space since 2019. We're all very excited about the Super Bowl on Sunday. And I have really been on a journey. I can't put it in a nice little nugget. I think I actually have struggled with introductions since changing industries, changing the way that I work. And I think those are some of the things I want to talk about today, of the realities of practically how do I even introduce myself at a networking event without feeling like an imposter or that I don't belong here? Because I did go through my second layoff last August. It was extremely unexpected. Had just gone through a successful performance review, was up for a promotion for the second time in 2 years, and was suddenly dumped out here on these streets to go. I was not planning to be here, but I had rebounded successfully in the past in different markets and love to share anything that I've learned about rebounding successfully and practically in this market. So I have this amazing feedback loop. I will end with this, but I'm very excited about what I have going on right now because I'm both working in consulting. So I set up my own business after layoff. I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but I'm going to file an LLC because after you lose your job, you also lose all the work that you did and all the things I had my name on that I built for a company. They can cut you. And I was like, oh, my folder of all the things, you're welcome. You get to keep it. So I filed an LLC. I've been doing hiring for companies, primarily startups based in the Seattle area. And then I've also been bringing this feedback back to folks in the market, professionals, active job seekers of, hey, in the daytime, I am actively hiring in the age of AI, various industries, various companies of different sizes. Here's what's actually happening. And I love sharing that insight. So I'm still in the hiring space and I'm still on LinkedIn yapping about how things are working behind the scenes. So anyway.
I love that. And just for context, you were laid off in August. I was laid off in May. And I think we both had that. We've talked even before that about how do you build your own thing so that it's when these unexpected things happen, you have something to fall back on. And then I'm even an advocate for entering truly getting, into the job search and all those things. I hate the question. I don't think it's appropriate to be asked, but what did you do in your time away? Or what have you been doing? Had a blip. Are we still here? We're still here.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think you were freezing a couple of times. Yes.
Okay. So it's like they have this question of, well, what have you been doing in your time away? And then now I have this solid, well, I built a business, it's automated, and I wrote a book. What have you done in the last 6 months? No, I wouldn't add that.
But here's the thing though, there's still this bias for like, well, but did a company pick you? Because even running your own business, it's like, yeah, but are you hireable? did you start your own business because no one will hire you? And so that's something people have to contend with. And then I'm conscious of this as more of us go into entrepreneurship of it can be seen as low barrier to entry and not as translatable to corporate work. And there can be that bias against it of, oh, you were self-employed. Is that because you're not really top talent? So that is something I think for people to be mindful of. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm actually saying, you should do it. You should do it before you're laid off. You should do it even if you'll never get laid off. For other reasons, I think we're just moving into more of an this flexible work type of economy. But that's a story for another podcast. But I would say I like to see things really holistically, see all sides, and that is a downside that I think we're going to be running into continuously of, oh, sure, you were self-employed. You made a website. That doesn't, and actually people who on their resumes, I'm seeing more of this on resumes, where after a layoff, someone will say like freelance, but they're not giving me any context as a recruiter of how this would relate to the role I'm hiring for. Who were your clients? How many? What industry? What'd you do for them? Are you explaining it in a way that I can understand? Because you can't just throw it into ChatGPT or have one line on your resume that says entrepreneur, self-employed, marketing consultant. So anyway, I'm already here with the hot takes and the fresh tips.
That's okay. It's very valuable. And we are talking about that roller coaster reality. And I think that that's one of them is, okay, if you make this one choice, jump into the job market, and it takes you a year to close, the longer that gap extends, then people are like, oh, there's something really wrong with that candidate. But then if you're trying to build your own thing, then there's bias to that. And sometimes the idea isn't like, for me, I love that I can say I automated a business because now I'm using tools to make it. The other concern would be like, well, is this business, are they going to keep doing it on the side so they can't dedicate to my job? So that's why it's like I automated it. So I don't need to do anything more other than social media posts, which I'm doing anyway. So, and I'm going to keep doing, by the way, if I work for you. So I do want to make sure we get though into that, this roller coaster reality of the surprise of a layoff. I saw mine coming and it still hurts so much because it just felt like you used so much of my best time, my best energy, and look at the things I sacrificed on the side that, whether it was family, something, or time with, I said no to this thing that I really wanted to do, even if it was a good volunteer opportunity.
I would love to talk about that, actually. I have a very relevant story. Yes. One quick logistical question. So I can't see if folks are on and commenting. Is that something that I need to...
I have a comment section here, and we'll see if anybody does comment. So I'm watching that and try to keep a beat out. I'll go ahead and open up LinkedIn and the post just to make sure, double check. It's tech.
Yeah. Are we connected? Yes. So 2 weeks before I got laid off, I missed my daughter's birthday for the first time for a work trip. And as a solo parent, that one really hurt. And I was willing to prioritize this work trip because it just, for various reasons, because of like C-suite schedule, like this, it had to be on this date. I was hosting 2 events that I put together in New York City with executive level leadership, and sorry, I've got hair floating in front of my face somewhere. And it was like, okay, well, these things provide stability for my family. So it was a difficult choice to make, but at the time I was like, this in a way is supporting my family to put work first because this is our paycheck and benefits. And then I'm not saying I regret my choice because that's just one more awesome plot point on my resume of like, hosted an event for the CTO and CISO of Reddit, and it was successful and great feedback. But yeah, at the company level, they can shift what they need in the business at any point, or just decide that they don't like your jokes. I don't know, like it could be anything. Maybe they think you're overpaid, overqualified, underqualified, don't fit a persona that they want in their future team. So there are just a million reasons why you could get cut. Of course, you'll never get the answer, unless you maybe get a former boss very drunk, but it's not very likely that you'll ever find out why, really, really. And for me personally, that was just such a low, because I was like, I'd already sacrificed so many things in my personal life up to that point. And then to also then be cut with like no notice, having given so much, and then coming away with, yes, I have the memories, I have the stories of what I did, the relationships, the experience, the pay, but I left all my work behind. I didn't get to, take that with me.
It's that sense of like I shouldn't say you, because I can't speak for everybody, but I went through also the grief cycle, right? Of I gave all this thing, it's not there. And and when I've lost things in the past, it's like, wait, they're not there. This isn't there. And I had, it's that denial, the acceptance, all those anger. And I had the reality, or to accept, I'll never get true closure on it. It's just an open-ended thing that is just out there, and I can't change it. There's no thank you for all you've done, none of that.
I know. I took a picture of all my awards, physical awards it got in the mail from Reddit, from everyone from the CTO and founding engineer of the company to the employee resource groups to other stakeholders, because to remember. And then I recycled the awards when the materials recycled, because I was like, this just feels, in the end, I just had that proof of, hey, I was thanked and appreciated along the way. But all of a sudden, that was really tough. I'm actually only contending with anger now. So we're in February. So it hasn't even been, has already been almost 6 months. And I was having all these allergic reactions, which is why if you're tuning in, you're like, Emily, why aren't you doing your Friday office hours? Well, my apartment had a mold problem, and my immune system was so bad after being so stressed for a continuous period of time that I was having all these skin reactions. And part of it was, okay, now we're going to get into it. I saw this Reiki treatment lady, because I'd tried everything traditional medicine. And she was like, I think your skin is trying to help you release this anger. So anyway, I've done a lot of screaming and crying in the car lately over this and various other things.
But that is part of it, is this, I was so stressed before the layoff. And some of that is that layoff culture's there. The company's doing layoffs. You never know when your turn is going to come. You can kind of start thinking, okay, I knew if it comes to my org, they're going to chop me. We don't need to, they're going to think we don't need 2 people in this space because of what the space is. And they'll prioritize vendors, blah, 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 blah. And they did. So, but it's like working to try and keep yourself valuable. And then I would wake up panicking in the middle of the night, not about the layoff, but about the work I wasn't doing. I haven't produced enough this week. I haven't produced enough. And I just had a comment with a friend of mine this morning where I'm like, I forgot to actually turn an alarm on. And I was like, I thought I was planning to wake up a lot earlier than I did. And then I had that realization of, oh, I'm sleeping again. And this happened close to a year ago now. And May. And I just realized how much that stress impacted all of it. And you alluded to the anger phase. I had all this swag, like t-shirts and things like that. And I bought this amazing jacket with the company logo. And so I've literally bought, I didn't want to get rid of the jacket because it's so awesome. So I bought now a patch with the Seahawk on it. And I'm just going to sew it right over the company logo, just straight up, because I don't want to get rid of the jacket, but I'm really mad. And I don't want to wear their swag either. So I have all these shirts and I'm like, what do I do with it? I garden in them now.
Oh, yes. These make great cleaning rag. So with Reddit, I have so many friends still working there. And I heard from so many people and continue to who still work there. And I had particularly my first couple of years there were so amazing. I could not believe I was just like building things and experimenting and given a high level of autonomy. And then was able to pay off my credit card debt. Like they were just, but it was so fun. Such a meme culture, particularly pre-IPO. It was like super scrappy. I have mostly great things to say about my time there. It was just maybe the last 6 months, but particularly the end. I was like, what just happened? But I don't hold that against the brand. I actually still use Reddit. I love like job search hacks and r/resumes and all my lovely friends who are there and still representing the best of the culture. I think that there's, for me, it's just more specific of like, there was friction with a new leader and some funky things that were easier to leave behind, but I also have some not great feelings about. Yeah, but after I was laid off from Netflix, it was interesting. The number of recruiters who asked me, because recruiters do hire recruiters, so they're like whole teams of like we hire recruiters. So I had to, when you're interviewing as a recruiter for a recruiting job, you'll meet with a recruiter. Confused yet? I know I would be. So well, why did you get laid off? Well, what happened? And here's the thing. I'm in a couple chats with a bunch of recruiters, and they still think it's fine and fair to ask that. My pushback is no one's going to tell the truth, even if it was. I mean, for me, it's telling the truth to say, this change in business decision or direction from what I understand, truly will never be told. But even if you were fired for performance, who's going to tell you, oh yeah, I got fired because I didn't hit my numbers? Like that, it's just such a low value, low signal question to be asking. I feel like it's lazy recruiting, but I hope that doesn't end up on TikTok.
The candidate kind of on the, like, it feels accusatory by nature.
What did you do?
As a candidate, I'm already nervous, right? I already want to make a great impression. And then you go to what could be a really sore spot right now. I'm still processing what happened. Like you said, you're still in anger. Well, maybe you don't want to actually ask me that question, because I will go on. Like for me, it would be like business theories and how I think, these things are being mismanaged, but you're going to get me venting. Right. And that's not who I am.
Low signal, low value question. I'm more interested in forward facing in hiring. Like that gives me more insight. What's important to you in your next move? People will also tell you, if you keep it forward facing, what they went through and how that might influence what they're looking for next. But I'm not in charge of hiring in 2026. So anyway, but I would just say
like you can't control what other recruiters do or what hiring managers ask, or whether they're going to present the red flags where you're like, that was a great candidate and you had to ask that question, and now they went somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, if you're lucky.
Yeah. So
what a common mistake people are making that I wanted to mention is that if you are asked questions like that, and you're likely to be after a layoff or any kind of gap, if not by the recruiter, then the hiring managers ask that pretty frequently across industries and company sizes I've worked with over the years, and particularly in the last 6 months, because they want to know, was this performance related? Which again, I'm telling them, this is not a good use of your time, but okay. But again, we could fight about this in the comments. I can see both sides, but I pick mine. Is just to be careful with any of these questions that could skew negative, to keep it forward-facing, positive. This recruiter is looking for signals that you'd be a good hire, you're a good fit, and what do you like to work around? So if people hire people they want to spend more time with, and they're not going to want to hire somebody who has that negative orientation, negative things to say about previous employers, because it's just like dating. It's like, oh, well, if you talk smack about me, or about your ex, so this is the kind of person that you would be like to work with. And if you exited our company at some point, are you going to badmouth us in interviews or on social media? And it also just doesn't give them anything to work with. It just may leave a negative impression. So I'd say focus on what's next, or what's good, or what was good, if you can, to get, so I'll leave that there, but that's my
we do have in chat where Tim's asked or said he was once asked if you weren't laid off, would you still be with the company? And that seems like an interesting question too, because would you ever say anything other than, yes, or else you get into the venting stuff, right? Is like,
No, I
no,
would
it's
actually,
like the team was terrible.
no, I recommend, for me, my first instinct is that is a tricky question. They're trying to get you to talk about performance again. And so my answer would be no, because I was already evolving to this next thing. I've been actively interviewing. It's always signaling I'm in demand in the market. I am the captain of my ship, the master of my destiny. I am high value. I hate all of this stuff in, like, you see it on YouTube about like, are you a high value man? I'm not into that stuff. Gross. But I think in the job market,
Mhm.
perception can be reality. And so making sure to portray yourself, position yourself as someone who's not only values themselves, but is externally valued by other employers. Barf. But like, this is important. This is saying, well, if they hadn't dumped me, I would have stayed in that relationship forever. So for me, it would be, what is the best way that I can convey that I'm externally valued in the market and I'm in demand? Well, probably not, because I'd actually been considering a promotional opportunity at this other company, or, really, I loved what I was doing there, but was looking for a little bit more scope and ownership, or they weren't evolving with AI tooling I'm looking to also just be a good manipulator. Think about, what do I know about the company that I'm interviewing with now and what they're looking for, and how can I quickly spin this into, what's exciting to me about this role is the team's really collaborative, and I was, lacking a little bit of that at this most recent company. So I was already kind of looking for more of that. Wow. Now you've told me some positive signals and also sold me on your match potentially to this culture. So anyway, follow for more manipulation tips.
Well, it is, so much of it is kind of that game, and just participating in it to, I had somebody mentor me when I was trying to overcome a really long employment gap, to always be positive, always be positive, always be moving forward, always be in demand.
Always be
Don't,
hydrated. You see me here with my 2
yeah,
beverages, but
don't
yes.
sell yourself short and things like that. One of the things I'm curious about and what you're seeing, particularly with job seekers, and it's when I mentor people, what I'm seeing is so much frustration. So you have candidates who've maybe been on the market for, a couple months, a year. I had someone in my world that it took 2 years for them to find the next opportunity, because they didn't want to compromise on what they were looking for in order to get to that right fit, and ignore the red flags, things like that. But now you have candidates approaching recruiter calls with, maybe they're jaded. Maybe this is they're like, well, okay, here's another one that's going to waste my time. And this is that reality of what layoff looks like, is I've been beat down and now you want me to come positive, come to this positive. Do you see any of that, or do you have
No,
advice
I
for?
actually see a couple of other things. So, well, but I think, and this is not going to be me saying I'm not like the other recruiters, although I do tend to do things a little differently because of my lived experience and also what really works. You know what really works? Being nice to people. When I worked in the mall in the 2000s, and my 2 coworkers, one day they were just watching me walk through the mall, and I just sell credit cards to people in the other recession. And they watched me go through the mall and get all these credit card signups. And I came back after my little round and they were like, how do you do that? Because all these people had signed up, and they were like, and I was like, I'm Elle Woods at work, just like, I don't know. I don't know. So people tend to, I try to treat people in the platinum rule, just not just how do they want to be treated? They don't even know what's possible. So when I reach out to them, hey, saw your application, or hey, you look like you could be a fit for this role, I make that as friction free as possible. And then once they've booked time with me, I send a full informational email ahead of time of, here's what's next. Here's what we'll cover. Here's what the vibe is. Here's more about the role that you might want to know in case you want to actually cancel our call because it turns out this is not in the right space for you. Here's the pay range. Here's about the company. This next call is really just a quick chat, blah, blah, blah. So by the time people get on the call with me, I don't tend to have anyone who's feeling crusty because they're like, by the way, thanks for all that information. Oh, yeah, of course. Happy to. who would do less. It's also saves me a ton of time in my recruiter screens because they're not asking me all the questions that could have been an email, and I am not reading from a script, which I'm clearly probably not good at. So
Right.
yeah, so when people get on a call with me, they tend to be already pretty like trusting of me. They have a good opinion. The one thing that I would say doesn't tend to go as well is if, okay, so this goes back to it of like, I won't, I'm not sure how to make this into a LinkedIn post, but you do need to be careful to, again, signal confidence and that you value yourself, but also that others value externally in the market. It's just like diamonds. Like, who decided a diamond is worth anything? Oh, because we perceive scarcity and other people are competing for these rocks. Oh, okay, cool. So same with the recruiter screen. I have people who are signaling maybe desperation, and it's not that I care. I'm like, you're in a safe space with me. But when you get to the hiring manager and you're overselling, over exaggerating, and also people who are nervous tend to way over architect engineer. It's like keyword stuffing on your resume. Like, I want to make sure I hit all the notes. I don't want to miss anything. And then honestly, the most qualified people who don't need our job are like, yeah, I did X for Y and A for B. Let me know if you have questions. So then it also can signal this, whether it's desperation, nerves, all of that. Like when it's almost like the coffee date where you care too much and you are already sure from your Hinge messages that this person is the one. And then anyway, folks will get to the interview and I'm not sure if they actually have effective communication either because of their nerves and trying to really push and sell themselves, which really it should just be more of a conversation. But if you're desperate, you may also signal to me, I don't care if you're desperate. The hiring manager might, that might flag some bias for them. But for me, it's like, if I send you on to the hiring manager and you spent 30 minutes when I asked you like quick 2 to 3 sentence summary of describing what you do currently, I can't pass you on because I don't go get good signals that you're an effective communicator. And that goes for if you're in any role. So I need to know if you're in food service, so you're not going to hold up the line if someone asks you how much an extra cheese slice is. So anyway.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And it's like I had the thought about that went exactly with that. Oh, it's the I've seen so many recruiters on LinkedIn say, don't forget to answer the question, because it gets easy to go into, you must use star, the format. And then I can get so lost in star without it sitting. I have to put it in front of my face on the screen because I will. I always see details as so important. Like, oh, well, but this was happening and this is why it was a challenge. Otherwise, it can seem like, yeah,
I need to give you context.
It was great.
Yep. Well, I always say start more concise and then offer more details and not just any questions for me. It's more like, I'm happy to actually like dive into XYZ area though, because to me, that really gives the context, but let me know if that's of interest. Oh, okay.
All right. Well, that also pulls in people love to hear details about what they're interested in. And I think that strategy is I love that. And it's not something I thought about as much, but what is beautiful is you can start to see what the hiring manager actually values. And then you can start shaping they asked me about, well, how did your customers react to that? Okay, that's something they care about. Out of all the things in the story, they asked me about the customer. And first of all, that's going to get like somebody like me excited because I love working with customers. It's my favorite thing to do truly in a job. So if they're asking me about that, then that can either red flag you a little bit on, oh, they care about, well, how many hours did you spend working on that project? Well, now I'm like, okay, this person's going to want to know, what did I deliver every single week? In the
very metrics driven.
Yeah. The pressure in this role, maybe when we talked about earlier, what do we sacrifice for the job? Maybe that's a red flag for you. Maybe it's not. And it is a two-way interview. And that's hard in this current culture.
That's another thing that signifies value. So I've noticed a difference, and these could be subtle signals you don't know that you're sending. I'm really thinking lately, like, do I actually want to help people with interview prep as part of like entrepreneurship? Because this is why I've rebounded so quickly after layoffs, and I've generally been able to get where I needed to go. And I want to share this more broadly with people because it's so much of it is psychological and accidentally triggering unconscious bias towards or against you. I've been able to trigger bias in my favor because I'm naturally curious, for one example. So as far as things that people are doing in interviews that can accidentally signal or like trip bias against them is no questions. Please do not come with 97 gazillion questions, particularly things that a recruiter cannot answer, like, does the Flugschirmdämpfer match with the Schirmdämpfer? Like, I don't know. See my email. But do come with a couple, and actually a hallmark of scammers that have made it through to the recruiting interview with me is that when I ask them what questions they have for me at the end, they only ask, what is the company culture like? That's just, look at the website. Like, for me as a recruiter, you want to signal you did a little research, you feel like this is a good fit for you. I would really recommend coming in with, I love being asked, why do you like hiring for Docker? What do you like about the company? Or what do you know about the hiring manager and the team? XYZ kind of environment's really important to me. I want to make sure this role is aligned. Oh, okay. Like, let's talk about it. Please do not ask the questions like, what gaps do you see in my resume for this role if you're a candidate? Because that's signaling insecurity. And what recruiter is going to actually tell you? That's going to actually be a huge liability, unless there are a couple of exceptions. Like if I'm hiring salespeople, that might be different. I might be able to tell them on the spot. But for any other kind of hiring I've done, if I tell you in the interview why you might not move forward, you could use that information to potentially sue the company, which is why companies don't give you feedback after your interviews, because you could argue with it and say, well, you only thought that I wasn't good at communication because I'm a woman, or, things like that. So speaking of signaling, low signal questions, recruiters should not be asking, why were you laid off? And candidates should not be asking, what risks to hiring me, essentially? Why won't you move me forward so that I can then argue with you in email later? I'm not going to tell you anything.
I was just thinking, if you do that, when we talk about bias, you want to, I take improv classes and stuff, and you always want to end the show on a high, right? Because you want people wishing there were more. And if you ask that question, you've literally just put the recruiter in the mindset of, oh, they lack things. And whether you do or don't, that's kind of how the show ends, as opposed to, oh, that team sounds amazing, and I think that my skills in blah, blah, blah would match this. And then it's like, oh, we're at time, but I have to, oh, I wish I could talk to that person a little bit more, but this is our scheduled time. It's over. And now they want to come back for the next show and see what happens. And I think, and I'm just going, I'm not a recruiter, so I'm shooting off the cuff here on this one, but it just seems like that principle could apply to a screening call.
Yep, totally. I like that concept. How does the show end? I've never thought of that. I had a candidate yesterday who I was interviewing her for a software engineering position. We had a great conversation. And I asked at the end, I like to ask, what else, so that I represent you well to the hiring manager? What else do you wish I might have asked you? Is there anything that you think would be missing based on our conversation about your background or experience? Anything you want me to add? If a recruiter doesn't ask you that, you can also say, yeah, like, Sally, it's been great talking to you. I'm really excited about the role. There were a couple things we didn't cover. I'm going to send you a quick email after our call since we hit time, just so you have them for your notes in case that's helpful for the hiring manager who might look at this next. And I had back to my candidate yesterday. We had this conversation. She was like, yes, actually, I built this XYZ thing in GitHub. And I was like, amazing. Are you willing to share this with me? Yes. So she sent me an email afterwards, the link to this GitHub project that's highly relevant to the role. and actually covered gaps that we hadn't talked about in our screen. So the follow-up emails that are like, once again, I'm confirming my interest, please hire me. Why haven't you gotten back to me? It's been 2 hours. That's not as effective, but more like just letting you know, there's a couple things I wanted to add in case this is useful. Super nice meeting you. I'm going to add you on LinkedIn. Either way, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Boom.
And I should add that should probably be succinct too, because if they give you a novel after the interview,
I'm getting novels.
Cover this, then
I'm getting novels, and then that trips up. They're usually written by AI. Come on, kids, we're in generation TikTok. No one is writing an email this long. My kids, we have like this running joke because my daughter likes croissants from Costco, but she can't spell croissant, and she's an older teen. But she's like, you know what I mean, and that's the thing. We're a you know what I mean generation. No one is spelling out croissant and spell checking it, and we're like, are you okay? You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I see those communications, that can also flag, there's all these quick ways people are being left and right swiped in hiring. We're having to make quick decisions more quickly than possible. Right. And when I see an email come at me that's perfectly formatted and incredibly long, one, I don't have time to read it. I'm sorry, I just don't. And then two, it's like, you probably gave the meat to ChatGPT, and then it wrote this very long email with all the em dashes and perfect paragraphs for you. It usually reads pretty fluffy, and that's kind of low signal as well. So anyway, I see this comment from Foster that I'm interested in. Feedback being withheld to not give any foothold for arguments or worse, lawsuits. So if you think like a recruiter's currency is time, and so one, we're there to help limit liability for a company. We're not HR. Ew. No offense, but I think of HR as like, you can't do that. No, recruiter is like this, the Hawaiian shirt function of HR, but we are responsible for limiting liability in hiring for the company. But also when you think my currency is time, the more time that I waste or spend, or I'm emailing back and forth and this and that, I'm losing time on actually hiring, and that's the basis of how my performance is measured. Doesn't matter what industry I've worked in. Literally, it comes down to, but did you hire anyone? Because otherwise, are you a recruiter? And so I'm always looking to limit, like, not only liability, but time wasting stuff, which is why prep is so important to me. Because I want you to get all the information in one place, and we don't have a lot of back and forth. You have a better experience, and that saves me time. So if I give you feedback that you disagree with, that can cut into my time. That's why companies will also limit that policy of being able to share feedback. It can be a liability, but it can also just tie up your team's time, your recruiting team. And yeah, I have had people yell at me for the hiring manager's decision and argue with the hiring manager's feedback. And I'm like, I'm just a girl. I don't know.
That goes back to the, how much does kindness, like just being nice, also, because if they're yelling at you, what are the odds you're going to contact them again for a role? And I see Foster saying that, on the flip side, AI is often used to reject candidates too. So, we're all figuring out that technology. So yes.
Here's my opinion though. Because people reach out to me all the time to ask, why was I rejected? And you see all these posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, if you're there, Instagram, like we're all seeing, oh, I got ghosted. Here's the thing. You actually have more data than you think. Because if you draw a triangle that's upside down, or Google a sales funnel, and you see this, it's like the food pyramid, but in reverse. And you think about this for your job search, you're going to see, gosh, what are the different stages of getting hired? So break those out into rings on the triangle, and then realize like, well, this is actually the third company to reject me with a template email at the application stage, or maybe it was after a recruiter screen. Where's your bottleneck? Where are you getting stuck? Where are you getting passed over? One woman I talked to a couple weeks ago, for her was actually at the final rounds. And I was like, oh, girl. So like she has no problem getting her foot in. So she doesn't have a problem with the application, with the initial screens. It was the final rounds, like for X, Y, and Z reason we talked about it. Why does this matter? Well, getting rejected with the template email, that's information too. And looking at what stage in the funnel was it, and seeing if there's a pattern or a theme and putting that all together. Most people right now are getting stuck at the top. Huh? Oh, thank you.
Really, it's like it brings a data visual picture that you can literally put on your desk and say, okay, this company right here.
I want to start doing workshops for folks to help think like a recruiter does, but optimize that for your effective job search, and take everything that I've learned here in these streets about getting hired quickly in disrupted markets and industries. There are the way things are changing. People are not equipped, and it's no one's fault. But it's like, well, how has hiring actually changed? And it varies by industry and person and experience level. But yeah, I want to really think about how can I start to share some of this information. Thank you for the feedback. Because I'm seeing common themes of messages that I get from people, comments on LinkedIn, threads on Reddit, like of people having all the same problems. And I'm like, I figured it out. I may have not figured it out for you, but I bet I've learned some methods that you might be able to translate or apply. So anyways,
I know we're getting close to time, and I was just going to say, what worked for me in that is I did a little cohort, and then I recorded the content while we did it. So then I had a whole digital course by the end of it. Anyway, so you could literally, and then you're getting real time.
Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, I built a PowerPoint slide and went through it, and then went through with the cohort. I was able to get real time feedback on that was helpful or that wasn't. And when we met the next week, it gave me a time to refine what I was building. So that's kind of a segue into, and you said that you like to wrap up your calls with, is there anything that you wish I would ask you about?
Yes.
So, and that is also my favorite way to wrap these up, because I know me and you could talk for a really long time, and when we've gotten on private calls, we do. So I want to make sure you can get back to your awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm hiring. Like my day job right now is Docker. The tech company is actually my client, billed through my LLC, and they brought me on to work on hiring. So that's awesome. So we bring in that feedback loop of like, actually, as of today, because things keep changing with how AI is used in hiring, back to folks in the market. I'm developing an allergy to the word job seekers. I'm sick of it. It is way too othering. That's my hot take for today. I celebrated things
like me on othering
Friday. So yeah, today's No Filter Friday, whatever day you're listening to this. And it's like, we're all professionals, and also we should all be job seekers right now. Like, even for me, I think I'm loving this LLC life. It's going pretty great. So yeah, I think what you didn't ask me is, Emily, what is your spicy take of the day? My spicy take of the day is I'm really tired of the word job seeker. I feel like it's now getting applied to like green banner and desperation and all this silly stuff. And so I think, and it's very smug for and I've done this too. It's like, hey, job seekers. Ew, I don't know. It just feels rude. I think it might be well-intentioned, but I know after a layoff, I'm like, why is it so, hey to this group only? This content, if it's in the hiring arena, it should actually be for everybody, even if you're a student. So
see, this is improv comes into all things, because it's like, what's the first thing that popped in my mind? And I was like, hi, career growers, or something like that, where it's okay. You don't have to be a job seeker. You can be anyone who just wants a better career for yourself.
Maybe we don't need to label it. We can just be like, hey, folks. I like on LinkedIn, I'm always like, hey, friends. Let's see. So you're like, what else did you not mention? Well, I would say if you've truly been like laid off, fired, between things, really sick, whatever. I've had a few friends do a few things that didn't work, and a few friends who did a few things that did work. The ones who things didn't tend to work out for as quickly or in the ways that they wanted, it's a few things. One is taking a lot of time. Emily, why are you only processing anger about a layoff 5 months later? Oh, I'll tell you, I was really busy. I knew that I needed to quickly get my activity going to land or work on my next play immediately. I was on the phone. I was like laid off at 8:30 on a Thursday, I think. And I was like, I'm blowing up my phone. I had friends calling me immediately and just getting that whole thing going. I didn't sleep very well or very much for a few months. And I stand by my decision. I really do. I would rather have the stress of that than the stress of paralysis or being on an island somewhere on your credit paid for by your credit card while you think about what you're about to go back to. I'd rather line something up and then say, yeah, I need 2 weeks before I can start. Spend the 2 weeks crying and screaming into a pillow and then start. So move quickly, move as high volume as you can, reach out to everybody, share what you're looking for with the positive positioning, but more than once. So one mistake I've seen people make, in my opinion, this is a mistake because it just hasn't been effective, is you get on LinkedIn and you post one time. I have over 200,000 followers and I posted about this event yesterday and only 600 people saw it. And 200 of them were my sister. Most people aren't going to see most of your stuff. They aren't. So post regularly. And really, variety of content is great. Look at Alex Frost. I can't get on the chat, so I can't type her name. But Alex, like Alexandra or something, Frost, Frost. She rebounded quickly after a layoff from Amazon and has had multiple opportunities. But look at her posts. She's not, no one's hiring me, interviewing sucks in 2026. I hate Amazon. Yeah. She's like, something I learned or something that's surprising or, hey, if you do want to hire me, blah, blah, blah. And she very quickly built up a network. And so I think tell everybody everywhere on all of your social media, but then don't stop. Keep reminding folks just not to do it in a way that's like, I'm still really struggling. More like, what do you have to offer? What are you learning in the process? And then one more thing is really be ready to get hired in 2026. So not 2025, not 20. There's a trend in social media of like looking back on 2016. Yeah, your resume might be stuck in 2006. So I do help folks with their resumes. This is not a plug because it's just something I do because I enjoy it. But if you want to book it, there's a link on my LinkedIn profile. And I see very common themes of like, oh, you've been out of the market for 20 years and your resume hasn't been updated in 20 years. And you have a long list of skills right under your name. There are all these basics. Look at the resumes and profiles of folks in your network who have recently made moves. You don't have to start your resume from scratch. I love a hack. Are you kidding me? A shortcut? Okay. Look at the profiles of people who have made moves recently within the last couple of years. What do their profiles say? Ask them like, hey, I love your profile. Do you mind sharing your resume? Like you can take out the phone number and stuff. I just, I'm kind of struggling with how to describe what we do as marketing executives. That's a compliment. Someone's going to respond to you and be like, yeah, I'll also share with you my resume. And now you have something to work with, not to copy, but to see what's modern. Because we don't have time here to talk about like keywords and what works, because it does vary by industry, which is why I like doing this one-on-one for people. But generally, make sure that you're ready for a 2026 job search using AI selectively and making sure that you're minding the store. So if you have like this tool updating your resume automatically to match jobs, are you even checking the final product before it goes out? So anyway, all of that being said, move quickly, ask for help, but like make sure you're careful in how you position it, but do it repeatedly. And then, just use the tools that are available in 2026 without over-architecting it. Okay, I could go on.
Yeah, I know we could. And we also have to be respectful of because I would keep you here all day, but
I actually have to hire people. I've been offered right now.
You're going to be doing a cohort soon, right? Where you take people.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, as you said, like you mentioned, first of all, if she can't, I know your connections are full. at like one-on-one connections on on LinkedIn, so they can
Oh
follow
yeah,
you.
you can follow,
They
but
follow you,
maximum
ring the
first
bell,
degree connections.
click the bell so you can see what she's got going on and see all the posts that Emily puts on. And I always
If
say,
you
don't let
want.
people, yeah. Well, I'm just telling them, ring the bell. Her content is worth following. So, and then she has a link there that you can reach out to her if you need a specific one-on-one job seeking or job. Oh, we can't say that word.
I'm
Right?
only doing, oh, sorry. See, look, I did this. I'm only doing recorded resume and LinkedIn profile reviews right now since I'm doing day-to-day hiring during the day. So yeah, you can click it. It's $50 and it's recorded to keep forever. And sometimes I even edit your resume in real time. Someone asked me after I sent them the recording, they were like, Emily, this is great, but is this a review or a roast? I have a lot of fun looking through them, and I'll be very honest. So if you want to know real candid first impressions, then
I
that's
love
a good
that.
spot.
I love that about you. Anyway, let's wrap this up, and I'll just ping you before long and say, like, we got to do it again. There's an open item that we didn't talk about. So thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to talk with you and learn from you. And you just dropped some amazing nuggets of, I got that upside down triangle in my head, and I was just like, you can use that for so many things. Like where does business drop off? Where does this, where does dinner drop off every week? It's like, oh, it's always in the planning what to do, or it's in the shopping, or it's in the
yes. I was in recruiting.
It's like debug your life.
Yeah, you start looking at where's the conversion happening, and it goes back to credit cards, selling credit cards in the mall. Of like, where does this break down? Oh, it's at the point where people have to give their social security number to some kid with a clipboard. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you. And I look forward to the next time we can talk with one another. And thanks for those who joined and chimed
Thank you for your time
in chat. So have a wonderful day.
You too. All right. Bye.
Bye.